Why? A confused buyer always says no. So the more information you provide, now you actually slow up the sales process. Skee ball, right? So in skee ball, you typically are trying to get the one in the middle or top right, top left. What do you always get the easiest? That bottom one, right? So I call it closest to the hole messaging and marketing. Closest to the hole is who I market to. I would typically use, when you get into ads, I use revenue from closest to the hole to pay for ads to work for me to go get to other people.
If you're watching this video, you're about to make a whole lot of money.
So what happens when you have multiple things that you do? How do you know what audience you're speaking to in those instances?
Yeah, so if you're talking to a person conversationally, it's different from messaging to market a product or a service. So if I'm having conversation with you, I could say, like for me, I have multiple businesses. So I can say, oh, well, I do 3 different things and I segment it. I treat the conversation like a segmentation. So I do 3 different things. Number 1, for coaches and entrepreneurs, and then the result I provide. For this group of people, and the result I provide. And for this group of people, guess what still happens in the conversation? The person hears, if they're any of those people, their name. For coaches and entrepreneurs, this. For established business owners and healthcare professionals, I provide consulting and marketing and sales services, which is what I do. For, let's say if someone's groundbreaking product in the healthcare space and they're trying to move that into mass marketing and trying to build their sales team, right? Very rare that you're gonna run into those and those turn into some, it depends. So people hear more about my coaching business online than my consulting business. You know what I'm saying? So it just depends on the conversation. Now, if I'm marketing a product online, only one thing. If it's on a landing page, only the thing that I'm marketing. I don't give the whole backstory and books and all of that. I don't do all that. Why? A confused buyer always says no. So the more information you provide, now you actually slow up the sales process. Did I answer your question? Yeah. Perfect. I told y'all, cousin, stop me anytime. I'm good. Why do I do that?
Or in general, like if someone do have like 3 different type of business, how do you promote it?
So I don't
still separately.
Yeah, so I would separate it. I don't advise for people where you have to do one. I do it that way in terms of mass market, and as well as with consulting, it's a much different process. Like for me, it's got to make sense. It's much harder work when it comes to like with the media aspect of things or done for you services. It's much less people, so it depends on. I think I treat it like how Apple does. They have hero products at certain times. They'll tell you the big announcement about all of them, but if you go to Apple's website right now, whatever is the primary offer for that month is the one at the top. Remember, I told you I do nothing but study billion-dollar corporations and reverse engineer it. So how does Apple sell you the laptop, the iPad, the phone? It depends on what is the hero product for the time. This is why monthly launch cycles are important, where you think about what is the focus of the company that will generate revenue for that month, and that becomes the cycle of messaging and marketing that you put out in front of people.
Business lines, and then depending on what audience you're in, you represent that business.
100%.
Right?
100%. The only way that I would give context to it, to a room, is if it's needed for validation or for a range, for people to understand your ability to support and help them. So like oftentimes in rooms, most people think that I got started when the big online course thing started, right? So I have to give depth of knowledge to explain. I was working with corporations before I started working with small businesses and entrepreneurs. So that depth of knowledge of operational understanding, marketing systems, things of that nature, is important for people to know how I can support them.
How do you market, or what is your messaging like when the one service supports 5 or 6 different audiences at the same time?
Very good question. What are those audiences? Give me more detail.
Okay, so I have a service, and at the same time, it supports the burnt-out caregiver, the elderly person, the corporation who is sponsoring the program.
Mm-hmm.
Who else do I have on my? and the employees who are volunteering. So it's giving them an opportunity to be good global citizens and team building activities.
Here's how I do it. Great question. Don't her question help everybody? I do something that I refer to, and I'm an example guy, so this will make all the sense. Anybody ever play, what is that game called with the little ball where you roll it and it has all the different holes and you always, skee ball, right? So in skee ball, you typically are trying to get the one in the middle or top right, top left. What do you always get the easiest? That bottom one, right? So I call it closest to the hole messaging and marketing. Closest to the hole is who I market to. I use the customers that I get from closest to the hole to then market to other people. That gives me case studies. So if it's skee ball, I don't want to draw because I'm a horrible drawer, so it's better to just explain. But if we're going closest to the hole, who are people easy, when you say being good citizens, is that harder to convert? People, hey, I want to market to people that can be good citizens. Is it the corporations? Well, normally the person watching the content doesn't have the purse strings to cut the check, so they got to talk to somebody else. They ain't closest to the hole. Who is the person closest to the hole that can actually buy? The caregiver. Not even the client. Now, you can talk to both and how that looks. So I go closest to the hole, and then I find other marketing avenues to then be able to use the case study of the result of that to get other people. That's how I market. Because if not, I'm going to be burned out because I'm not trying to market to everyone. And the margins and the revenue doesn't come consistent enough for me to actually get excited about it. So I would typically use, when you get into ads, I use revenue from closest to the hole to pay for ads to work for me to go get to other people. So it's working for me nonstop. I'm not having to create content for that. I created content, got closer to the hole. I ran ads and said, Facebook, Instagram, go find me people that look like this, and my message gets in front of them.
Are the result that you provide, and then I love.
Yeah, you're the result you provide, not the industry, right? So if the end result you provide, let's just say real estate, right? So my family right here is in real estate, killing it. It's not just real estate as overall industry. Why? Real estate has so many compartments in it. You got buy and flip investors. You got people who are the seller, the buyer. You got people who don't do real estate as a career, just looking to get into a home, right? So it's too broad for people to see like this is the result. So we would have to specify what specifically is the outcome that I provide, whether it's I help working 9-to-5ers using their current, without a raise at work, be able to invest in real estate to replace their current income, right? That's a clear outcome. So that's what we always look for instead of industry. We look for what is the result you provide, not the industry that you're in. Make sense? Why do I call it a messaging rule? Because if you break that rule, you'll have a very hard time making money. Very hard time. You'll try to force people to buy into something, and now you'll end up over-talking. Well, you know what I'm saying? Kind of like, well, basically what I do is, and now you feel the need like they don't get it, so you keep thinking the problem is them, so you keep talking more and more and more and more, and the problem isn't them, and their brain is like, if you'd like to make a call, please hang up and try again. If you need help. Did everybody see with that framework? We simplify the message, so now there's a clear message to market match. Make sense? Can I move forward? Skip past messaging rule 2 because I won't have time to get into it. Skip past that one. Let's go to this next one, loudest voice messaging. Loudest voice messaging. This is going to be very important, and then I'm going to skip over messaging and go into offer creation. We got to make good use of the time. Loudest voice messaging is a concept that I created some years ago, and it helps many of you who are trying to break through the noise of the internet, okay? When we get into marketing, because remember we're fixing our mindset, messaging, offer creation, marketing. We're only in messaging, fam. So we got to get to the other O and the M really, really fast. But when we get into marketing, I'm going to talk very quickly about how to leverage social media to where now people are knocking your door down, right? What is our actual formula of how we make this happen? But loudest voice messaging, y'all with me? Y'all ain't getting tired, are you? Oh, the same. I'm up here and I'm hungry. Full-fledged hungry. Okay. Loudest voice messaging. Watch this. what you're looking for is what is the loudest voice in their life and in their head. I'll tell you what I mean. For most people, the loudest voice in their head, and please don't miss this. If the loudest voice in their head is their spirituality, that determines how they make buying decisions. Loudest voice messaging is about you being able to grab messaging that interacts with the loudest voice. If the loudest voice in their head is money, all decisions is based on how much does it cost. So your messaging must include in it a way to eliminate the objection of cost. If the loudest voice in their head is social media, that means it's about appearance. How do I look? How will I be received? How will other people celebrate me? If the loudest voice is insecurity, if the loudest voice is process, man, I don't know if I got time. This seems like it's going to be a lot. Does this make sense?